That's great. I love the walk-up music. It's fantastic, especially at 7 a.m. I'm going to take a different tact. I think the reason why people might not be attending this so well is because we're in the Gaslamp Quarter at 7 a.m. with the U.S. men's national team game now on. So I'm going to take that hypothesis and run with that one. It's 2-0 at halftime, by the way. We're down to the Netherlands. So thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Patrick Johnson. I'm the president of Sidnexus. And at Sidnexus, we're developing a low-dose atropine product to treat myopia progression in kids. So we're developing a pharmaceutical. I don't have to go into the background here. I think my colleagues, Jonathan and Liron, did a great job. But I think one thing to highlight about the prevalence of myopia and why myopia is such an impactful disease right now and why it's getting so much attention is 15 to 20 years ago, a number of very large epidemiology studies were published. The Beaver Dam study, the Rotterdam study, the Blue Mountain study. And those are the studies that correlated all of these significant ocular comorbidities with myopia. Up until then, myopia was really just kind of viewed as a benign refractive disorder. Put some glasses on kids and adults and you're fine. Now, myopia is associated with significant ocular comorbidities. And it appears that there's a lot of literature out there that we have the ability to treat myopia with devices like CooperVision's MiSight or with drugs like a lot of the literature is suggesting. So we're one of the groups trying to get a low-dose atropine formulation approved. This is the same slide you saw earlier. We have another quartile on top of this that demonstrates that myopes that are extremely high myopes have an even higher chance of achieving some of these major blinding diseases. Don't take my word for it. Take Genentech and Novartis's word for it. They've run a clinical trial. They have an approved drug to treat myopic choroidal neovascularization. So it's already something that's on the pharmaceutical industry's radar. So the societies as well there's been a lot of momentum since those very large epidemiology studies have been published. The societies themselves have gotten behind this need to treat myopia. In 2017, the American Academy of Ophthalmology published a meta-analysis with almost 3,000 patients concluding that myopia needs to be treated and there's level 1 evidence to suggest that atropine actually works to treat myopia as a pharmaceutical intervention. Fast forward a couple years, the American Academy of Ophthalmology partnered with a number of different other major associations, pediatric associations, optometric associations, to form the Global Myopia Task Force. And in 2021, they published this mission statement to reduce the global myopia burden. So you've got all these societies. It's a huge tailwind for myopia. All these societies are saying, look, we have to treat this disease. So it's a very important and of new development that we've got these comorbidities now that we can potentially minimize by treating this disease early on in kids, because you have to treat it in kids before they progress or while they're progressing. Once again, Congress also got involved. 28 members of the House of Representatives sent a letter to the CDC saying, what are you guys doing about myopia? This is a global epidemic. And they requested an update on the CDC's efforts to treat myopia. So I mentioned earlier that we're developing a low-dose atropine product. Atropine is a very unique active pharmaceutical ingredient. It's not like a lot of drugs. You can't just take atropine, dilute it out, and have a drug that you can then provide to kids. Atropine is extremely unstable at lower concentrations in water-based environments near physiologic pH. So I think it's well appreciated now, it wasn't well appreciated a few years ago, that the only way to really stabilize atropine in a aqueous water-based environment is to lower the pH. And so what we've been able to do is come up with a unique excipient. We use a different form of water. We use heavy water instead of regular water to minimize the need to lower the pH so much so that we can create a formulation that's more comfortable and has a number of other attributes I'll tell you about in a few minutes. But heavy water is the same as water. It looks like water, smells like water, tastes like water. The chemistry in heavy water just occurs more slowly. Water hydrolyzes at a certain rate, and heavy water just hydrolyzes at a slower rate. The D bonds are more stable than the H bonds. D bonds in D2O are more stable than the H bonds in H2O. It's very simple chemistry, but it's very elegant. So I've got some data here to just demonstrate a couple of two formulations, pH 6. The left is at 25 degrees, the right is at accelerated 40 degrees. And you can see the black bar is degradation in water-based formulation of low-dose atropine, and the dotted bar, well, looks dotted to me. I'm not sure it looks dotted to you guys, but the bottom one is low-dose atropine in deuterium oxide, D2O. You can just see by the graphs that there's much less degradation in the D2O formulations in this figure. So degradation is important. Why does pH matter? Higher pH is actually important for a number of different reasons. First of all, I think we're all aware of the superior tolerability that formulations that are near physiologic pH have. As you drop down too far, they become acidic, and that becomes less comfortable. That's well established. You also have a number of other attributes. So increased ocular retention. When you decrease the pH, you increase tearing, and so drugs get washed off the eye faster. Atropine is also a unique active pharmaceutical ingredient in that its bioavailability changes as you drop the pH. Atropine becomes charged as the pH drops, and charged molecules don't cross biological membranes as well as non-charged molecules. So our product, a pH of 6, has 10 to 100 times more bioavailability than an atropine product, pH 3.5 to 5, somewhere in that range. So it's quite possible that stabilizing low-dose atropine by dropping the pH could result in a drug with lack of efficacy. Compounding. We all know that there are a lot of studies out there that demonstrate low-dose atropine works. How come it works so well in those studies? Those studies are done with compounded drug product. Compounded drug product, 90% of the time, more than 90% of the time, based on a publication that just came out, is simply the addition of an existing atropine to an artificial tear or 0.9% saline. And it results in a product that is pH 7, which is comfortable, it's bioavailable, but it degrades rapidly and is not a pharmaceutical product that the FDA will allow to be distributed to kids. So you have to maintain this balance of higher pH for efficacy and lower, and also at the same time maintain the stability of the product. So we're really going for a drug that's efficacious at a higher pH and also stable for a pharmaceutical product that the FDA will allow. So these negative attributes of compounded product, first of all, they're unstable because they're high pH, and in water-based solutions, as I said earlier, as I demonstrated, low-dose atropine is unstable. They're also not release tested. Compound products are not release tested. They're simply distributed to patients more than 90% of the time, and they're not reimbursed. So for a patient, our research shows they're paying out of pocket $60 to $130 for a bottle. This new paper that was published suggests that their research was $45 to $230 a bottle. And once an approved product exists, there's going to be a high-quality, defined formulation, stable atropine, tested for over 3 years in kids, that's reimbursed. And to the patient, there's going to be a copay involved in that, and that copay should be less than the existing price to bottles. So it's a nexus. In conclusion, we are developing what we consider the premium product in the space. It's a high pH product. We're developing 2 concentrations. The higher pH allows us to have a superior tolerability, better bioavailability, and because we're using this novel excipient, we're able to achieve a 3-year shelf life, which is very important for use in kids. We're running the most robust clinical trial that's ever been conducted on a pharmaceutical in this space, 852 patients. It's over 50% larger than any study that's been conducted on a pharmaceutical to date. It's a single pivotal phase 3 study, and we're approximately 20 months into our 36-month primary endpoint, which is a very long primary endpoint. So thank you very much.